So we are in early May of 2026, and you might be wondering, is 2026 a good year for me to sell my lake home? Some lake houses are sitting and they're on the market quite a while. Some are still selling very quickly in the first 3 to 5 days on the market with multiple offers. What's the difference? Why are some selling so quickly? Why are they not? And is this a good time and a good year for you to sell your property? That's what I'm here to talk about today. I'm Audrey Miller. I'm the broker owner of Northwest Wisconsin Realty Team. And you'll see my contact information on the screen below. We're right out of Hayward on Main Street is where our office is located. And reach out to me anytime if you're looking to buy or sell. So I mentioned at the start of this video that some places are selling really quickly, others are sitting for a while. Basically, it's coming down to frontage, the lake size and quality, the condition of the property, and how well it is presented online, and of course, how it is priced. That's a big one as well. So when you come to thinking about selling your lake home, it's not just about the market. It's also the fact that selling a lake home is a little different than selling a regular house. For a lot of owners, it isn't just an asset. It's where you've made tons of memories. Your kids have maybe grown up there. They've learned to water ski or swim out in front of the lake. You've had lots of family gatherings and hosted lots of people. And so it feels very personal, and it can also often be a very emotional decision for lakefront sellers. You celebrate your 4th of July's there, your Memorial Days, lots of great summer memories getting away from the city and coming to spend your time at your lake cabin. It's your getaway. It's your happy place. All of those things can make it difficult to decide to sell. So one of the questions is not just, can I get a good price, but it is now the right time for our family? So a little bit later in the video, I'll get into 5 questions you should ask yourself about whether you may be interested in selling in 2026. But I'm also going to give you some market information too. So as of right now, prices are still holding up, but it's not as frantic as it was in 2021 and 2022 and that time frame. I did do a video just about a month ago on the first quarter stats for all of Sawyer County as it related to 2025 versus 2026. So if you want a more in-depth analysis, you could listen to that video from a few weeks ago called First Quarter Update. However, I'll give you a little more information, just kind of an overall snapshot. Prices are remaining strong. It is still a seller's market. So from that perspective, I think I would definitely recommend 2026 as a year to sell lakefront property. I did pull just a little bit of information here from the first 4 months of the year. I mean, our market is just getting going for the year now. Lots of listings are popping up on the market in the springtime, but it's really a good time to list your lake home anytime when there is not snow and ice. You don't want to get too late into winter, but anytime between April and October is a good time to list based on what works for you. So last year, there were 40 lake homes in all of Sawyer and Washburn County that sold in the first 4 months of the year. The average price was $737,000. So my apologies. That was this year, 2026. There were 40 homes that sold, $737,000 for the average sale price. Days on market, 117 total days from the time they hit the market till they closed. Last year, 31 homes sold in all of Sawyer and Washburn County in that same time frame, and the average price was $648,000 with a days on market of 140 days total. So this is a small snapshot of properties, and we'll get a bigger picture and more accurate information as the year goes on. But that is actually a 13% increase year over year. But again, the most accurate thing you can do is have an experienced agent such as myself pull comps on your specific property and see what else has sold in the last year. But it looks like we are still in an appreciating lake market. It's just getting tough to get on a lot of lakes in the area, and the demand is high. So from a market perspective, I would say definitely a good year to sell. But then there's the personal side of this as well. Also, I do want to mention, including condo properties and standalone properties, there are only 76 lakefront properties for sale right now in active status, not under contract in all of Sawyer and Washburn County. So pickings are pretty slim for buyers, that's for sure. So selling in 2026 might make sense if one of the following is true for you and your family. You're using the cabin less than you used to. You find that numerous years have gone by and you've only gotten up here or over here a couple of weeks in the summer, and it's just a lot to take care of and maintain when you're not really using it, and you don't see that changing anytime in the future. The maintenance, dock work, the stairs, the trees, the winterizing, whatever you have going on with your specific property, it's just getting to be a little too much. This is something I hear a lot from people that are getting older. They already have another home elsewhere, And it's just getting tough to maintain those two properties, becoming more of a liability than an asset to them in the overall picture of their life. You've had a big run up in value and you want to simplify while the demand is still there. Now, do I think the demand is going to go away anytime soon for lakefront property in this area? No, I don't. But it's always good to be selling in a seller's market for sure. Your kids love the memories and the time spent there, but realistically, they are not planning to own or manage the place or take it over. And then there are sellers who I think should definitely wait, and this is not the right time for you to sell in 2026. Some of those reasons could be if you're still loving the property, the carrying costs are comfortable, your family has a clear plan for it, holding it might still make sense. You're using it a lot, you're enjoying it, and you know your value is going to continue to increase in the coming years. If your property needs major cleanup, deferred maintenance is needing to be done, there needs to be shoreline work, I would say you'd be better off preparing it and taking the time to do that than rushing to the market, even if that takes you a year or two to get that work done. So as a seller, I want to know that today's late buyers are looking harder at the details. Buyers are more picky right now than they were a few years ago. So that's why you see certain homes sitting if they're not desirable to as many buyers, if they're priced inappropriately, if there's deferred maintenance that hasn't been dealt with. All of those things can put your property in a subcategory that is sitting on the market longer than it should be. And again, this is where an experienced agent can give you a lot of advice. So buyers care about the lake itself, or the size, the water clarity, the frontage, the elevation to the water, privacy as much as they can get. You know, I always tell people lakefront and privacy are kind of like a unicorn, but either way, that's a factor for people. The swimming quality, the septic and well condition, the roof age, the heating systems, you know, all of these things that buyers were tending to kind of overlook or bypass in the frenzy of the market a few years ago, they are being more particular. They're wanting to make sure they're getting a good value. The money that they're spending is well spent. So you need to be careful and work with somebody who knows how to prepare, present, and price your property to have the best impact on the market. You know, the best buyers are still out there, the ones that are looking, the ones that are motivated, the ones that are prepared. They're out there and they're looking. They might be from Minneapolis, St. Paul, or one of the suburbs. They might be from the suburbs of Chicago, southern Wisconsin, maybe from Eau Claire. These are the main places where our second buyers come from. But believe me, they've typically been watching online for months. They know what else is out there, and they and their agents are pretty savvy. So here's maybe 5 questions to ask yourself before deciding if you want to sell your Hayward and surrounding area lake home in 2026. What would we do with the money if we sold? Are we using the property enough to justify the work and the expense? Would our family actually want to inherit or co-own the property in the future? Is it worth keeping it in the family? Is there anybody who wants to take that on? Can they afford to buy it? Is the property in show-ready condition, or does it need preparation first? Do we know what buyers would realistically pay for this specific lake frontage and home? And obviously that's where I come in and can help you a lot with that part of it. So a lot of times, whether you should sell your home this year is a big question. And for most lake homeowners, it's not only a financial decision, it's a personal decision. Maybe this is the place where your kids grew up coming every summer. Maybe it's where the grandkids learn to fish off the dock. Maybe you've had decades of July 4th weekends there. Boat rides, fish fries, quiet mornings on the deck. So before we talk numbers, I want to acknowledge something. Selling a lake home is different. You're not just selling bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. You're selling a chapter in your family's life. So the Sawyer County and Washburn County markets are still showing a lot of strength, but it's not the same market that we saw years ago. So while prices are holding up and maybe even inclining, you do need to be careful how you present your property to the market. So if you're not ready to sell, or you're not quite sure if you're ready to sell, but you're starting to wonder what the next few years would look like, and you're starting to think and talk about it, give me a call. I'm happy to come and look at your property, give you a private, personal, comparable market analysis, and give you an idea of what it could list for in this current market. And if we have to redo that information in a few years, or next year, or whenever you do decide to sell, that it's the right time for you, I'd be happy to do that. I think it's a no obligation way to find out where does your property stand in today's market, and might help to inform you whether it is a good time to sell or not. So I hope you found this to be helpful and gave you some things to think about. And as always, feel free to reach out. Again, I'd be happy to help. I do specialize in listing and lakefront, and I would be happy to come and take a look at your place, meet you in person, and then we can go from there. I'm Audrey Miller. Thank you for listening today.